unexpected inheritance. The incessant beeping of his antiquated alarm clock dragged Alex Reeves from the comforting embrace of sleep. He groaned, fumbling to silence the device before reluctantly peeling open his eyes. The dingy ceiling of his small apartment came into focus, a stark reminder of how far he'd fallen. Once, Alex had been at the forefront of xenobiology research, his work on interspecies genetic compatibility hailed as groundbreaking. Now, he was just another washed-up scientist, scraping by on part-time lecturing gigs at the local community college. The bitter irony wasn't lost on him. Humanity had spread across the stars, yet here he was, barely able to afford rent in a run-down corner of New Seattle. As he shuffled to the kitchen to brew a pot of synthetic coffee, real beans were a luxury he could no longer justify. Alex's gaze fell on the holophoto frame on his cluttered desk. The image flickered to life, showing a younger, more vibrant version of himself standing next to a towering blue-skinned alien, Zaxxlian, his old friend and research partner from his days at the Galactic Science Academy. Alex felt a pang of nostalgia mixed with regret. It had been years since they'd last spoken, their once close friendship a casualty of Alex's spiral into obscurity. He wondered idly what Zax was up to now, probably still making waves in the scientific community while Alex... The sudden chime of his comm unit interrupted his self-pitying reverie. Alex frowned, checking the time. It was far too early for any of his usual contacts. Curious, he activated the holographic display. Alexander Reeves. The voice was crisp, professional, and decidedly non-human. Speaking, Alex replied, trying to shake off the last vestiges of sleep. This is Jarex Vale of the Intergalactic Notary Office. I regret to inform you that Zaxxlian of the Sephon Collective has passed away. Alex felt as if he'd been punched in the gut. Zax dead? It seemed impossible. The Cephalons were known for their longevity, often living for centuries. I don't understand. What happened? The circumstances of Zaxxlian's death are unclear, Jarex said, a note of hesitation in his voice. However, that is not the primary purpose of this communication. You, Alexander Reeves, have been named as the sole beneficiary of Zaxxlian's estate. For a moment, Alex was certain he was still asleep, trapped in some surreal dream. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You have inherited the entirety of Zaxxlian's considerable holdings, Jarex continued, seemingly unfazed by Alex's disbelief. This includes his research facilities, business interests, and personal assets across multiple star systems. You are required to present yourself at the central spaceport on Sephon Prime within the next standard week to formally accept your inheritance and handle the necessary legal proceedings. Alex's mind reeled, struggling to process the information. This has to be a mistake. Zax and I haven't spoken in years. Surely he had family or other friends ho. I assure you, Mr. Reeves, there is no mistake, Jarex interrupted. Zaxxlian's will was quite clear. You are the sole beneficiary. Will you be able to travel to Sephon Prime as requested? Alex glanced around his tiny apartment, at the piles of unpaid bills and the general air of defeat that seemed to permeate every corner. What did he have to lose? Yes, he heard himself say, I'll be there. The next few days passed in a blur of frantic preparation. Alex cashed in every favor he could, borrowed credits from anyone willing to lend them, and somehow managed to secure passage on a freighter bound for the Sephon system. As he stood in the spaceport, clutching a single battered duffel bag containing everything he owned, the reality of his situation began to sink in. He was leaving Earth, possibly for good, trading the familiar for the utterly unknown. And for what? An inheritance he still couldn't quite believe was real, left to him by a friend he'd all but abandoned years ago. The thought filled him with equal parts excitement and guilt. The journey to Sephon Prime took the better part of a week. Alex spent most of it in his cramped cabin, alternating between bouts of anxious pacing and poring over every scrap of information he could find about Sephon society and Zaxxlian's works since their paths had diverged. What he discovered left him awestruck. Zax hadn't just continued their research, he'd revolutionized entire fields of study: xenogenetics, adaptive biotechnology, cognitive enhancement. The list of breakthroughs seemed endless, and the business empire he'd built on the back of those discoveries was staggering in its scope and influence. By the time the freighter entered Cephalon Prime's orbit, Alex's mind was buzzing with questions. Why had Zax left all of this to him? What was he supposed to do with it? And perhaps most pressingly, how was he, a washed-up human scientist, supposed to navigate the complex world of alien high society and corporate intrigue? As the shuttle descended toward the planet's surface, Alex pressed his face against the viewport, drinking in a sight of the alien world below. Cephalon Prime was a marvel of bioengineering, its cities seamlessly blended with the natural landscape. Massive structures of living crystal pulsed with bioluminescent light, while hover cars zipped between them on invisible currents of energy. The shuttle touched down on a private landing pad atop one of the tallest spires in the capital city. As the hatch opened, Alex took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. He stepped out onto alien soil, squinting in the bright light of the system's binary suns. "Dr. Alexander Reeves, I presume." Alex turned toward the voice and felt his jaw drop. Standing before him was quite possibly the most beautiful being he had ever seen. She, and Alex was fairly certain the alien was female, stood nearly 7 feet tall, with skin that shimmered like polished opal. 4 arms were folded gracefully across her torso, and a crest of iridescent feathers adorned her elegant head. But it was her eyes that truly captivated him. Deep pools of swirling silver that seemed to look right through him. Yes, that's me," Alex managed to stammer out. The alien's mouth curved into what he hoped was a smile. "I am Lyra Senator, I was Zaxxilion's wife, and now it seems I am yours." Alex blinked, certain he had misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" Lyra's silver eyes sparkled with what might have been amusement. "Perhaps we should continue this conversation somewhere more private. There is much to discuss, and I suspect you have many questions." As if in a daze, Alex followed Lyra into a waiting hovercar. As they glided through the alien cityscape, his mind raced. An entire business empire was one thing, but inheriting a wife. What exactly had Zax gotten him into? The hovercar came to rest on a landing platform jutting out from a massive structure that seemed to be equal parts building and living organism. Lyra led Alex inside, through corridors that pulsed with soft bioluminescence. "Welcome to your new home, Alexander," she said, gesturing to the cavernous space around them. Or at least one of them. Zaxxilion had residences on 17 different worlds. Alex felt a wave of vertigo that had nothing to do with the unfamiliar gravity. "This is overwhelming," he admitted. "I don't understand any of this. Why would Zax leave everything to me? And what did you mean about being my wife?" Lyra's expression grew serious. Zaxxilion's decision to name you his heir was not made lightly, nor without reason. As for our relationship, it is a complex matter tied to both Cephalon custom and the intricate web of corporate law that governs much of this sector. She gestured for Alex to sit on what appeared to be a living chair, which molded itself to his body as he sank into it. "What do you know of Zaxxilion's work since your collaboration ended?" Alex shook his head. "Only what I've been able to piece together in the past week. It seems he made some incredible breakthroughs, but the details are vague." "With good reason," Lyra said. Zaxxilion's later research ventured into areas that some would consider controversial, dangerous even. He believed he was on the verge of a discovery that could reshape the very fabric of galactic society. A chill ran down Alex's spine. What kind of discovery? Lyra's silver eyes seemed to darken. "The kind that gets people killed, Alexander. I believe that is precisely what happened to my husband. And now, by naming you his heir, he has placed you squarely in the crosshairs of some very powerful, very dangerous individuals." Alex felt the blood drain from his face. "Are you saying Zax was murdered, and now I'm some kind of target?" I'm saying that you have inherited far more than just wealth and property, Lyra replied. You've inherited a legacy, Alexander. One that comes with both great potential and great risk. The question is, are you prepared to see it through? As the weight of her words settled over him, Alex realized that his life had irrevocably changed. The tired, defeated man who had left Earth was gone. In his place sat the heir to a scientific empire, the custodian of a potentially world-changing discovery, and apparently the husband of an alien woman who both fascinated and terrified him. Whatever lay ahead, one thing was certain: Alexander Reeves was in for the adventure of a lifetime. Echoes of betrayal. The crystal spires of Sephon Prime glittered like frozen flames in the light of the setting binary suns. Alex Reeves stood at the panoramic window of his inherited penthouse, but his eyes were unfocused, mind reeling from the day's revelations. Quantum entanglement on a biological scale, he muttered, running a hand through his disheveled hair. It's impossible. And yet, my husband achieved it. Lyra's melodic voice came from behind him. Alex turned to see his alien wife gliding into the room, her opalescent skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that seemed to reflect her mood. If what you're saying is true, Lyra, this goes beyond just reshaping galactic society. We're talking about fundamentally altering the nature of sentient life itself. Lyra's silver eyes clouded with concern, which is precisely why so many powerful entities want to control it or destroy it entirely. Alex's mind raced, piecing together the implications. Zaxxlian's research could allow instantaneous communication across vast distances, the sharing of knowledge and experiences on an unprecedented scale. But in the wrong hands. Mind control, he breathed. Entire populations could be manipulated without even knowing it. Lyra nodded grimly. Now you understand the stakes, Alexander. This is why Zax chose you. Not just for your brilliant mind, but for your human perspective, your species' innate drive to challenge the impossible. A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the room, showcasing a dizzying array of data. Corporate holdings, research facilities, shipping manifests, the full scope of Alex's inheritance. We don't have much time, Lyra continued. Already, our rivals are moving. The Synthetic Cognition Consortium, the Void Monks of Altair, even elements within the Cephalon government itself, all would kill to possess what Zax discovered. Alex's head spun. Just days ago, he'd been a washed-up scientist scraping by on Earth. Now he was at the center of a galactic conspiracy. What do we do? Lyra's lower set of arms manipulated the holographic controls, zooming in on a distant star system. We need to secure Zax's research before anyone else can. His most sensitive work was conducted here, on a hidden facility orbiting a brown dwarf. We'll take your inherited yacht, the Cosmic Lotus. It's been modified for situations like this. As if on cue, an alarm blared through the penthouse. Red warning lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. Proximity alert, a disembodied AI voice announced. Multiple armed vessels on approach. Hostile intent detected. Lyra's feathered crest flared. It seems our enemies are not as patient as we'd hoped. We need to leave. Now. Heart pounding, Alex followed Lyra through a series of hidden passages within the living walls of the building. They emerged onto a secluded landing pad where a sleek, organic-looking ship awaited them. The Cosmic Lotus, Lyra announced as they raced up the boarding ramp. She may not look like much, but she's full of surprises. No sooner had they strapped into the cockpit than the first volley of energy weapons splashed against the yacht's shields. Lyra's 4 hands danced across the controls, and the ship leaped into the sky with a burst of acceleration that pushed Alex deep into his seat. Quantum foam drive engaging, the ship's AI announced. Prepare for probability shift. The view outside the cockpit windows warped and twisted. Stars streaked into lines, then fragmented into a kaleidoscope of possibility. Alex's stomach lurched as reality itself seemed to break apart around them. When the universe snapped back into focus, they were in deep space, the glittering expanse of the galaxy spread out before them. What? What was that? Alex gasped, fighting down a wave of nausea. Lyra's lips curved into a smile. One of your inheritance's more interesting features. The cosmic lotus doesn't just travel through space, it surfs the quantum probability waves between realities. Makes us rather difficult to track. As Alex struggled to wrap his mind around the implications, a proximity alert chimed softly. A massive space station hung in the void before them, its architecture a blend of sleek technology and organic forms. The Nexus, Lyra explained, a neutral haven for scientists, traders, and less savory types. We'll need supplies and information before we head to Zax's hidden facility. They docked without incident, but as soon as they set foot in the bustling corridors of the station, Alex felt eyes upon them. Aliens of every conceivable shape and size moved through the crowd, some eyeing the newcomers with open curiosity, others with poorly concealed hostility. "Stay close," Lyra murmured, her lower right hand brushing against what looked suspiciously like a concealed weapon. The Nexus may be neutral territory, but that just means all sides can operate freely here. They made their way to a dimly lit establishment that seemed equal parts bar, black market, and information exchange. Holographic screens flickered with news from across the galaxy, stock prices, and what appeared to be odds on various illegal activities. A hulking, multi-armed bartender regarded them with compound eyes. Well, well, it clicked in accented galactic standard. The famous widow and the human hair. You're causing quite a stir in certain circles. Information, Lyra said curtly, sliding a credit chit across the bar. We need to know who's hunting us. The bartender's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. Might be easier to list who isn't, sweetness. But word is, the Synthetic Cognition Consortium has put out the biggest bounty. There. The rest of the bartender's words were drowned out by the sudden screech of tearing metal. The far wall of the bar exploded inward, and through the breach poured a nightmarish blend of flesh and machine. Cyborg mercenaries, Lyra hissed, grabbing Alex and diving behind an overturned table. Looks like the consortium decided to cut out the middleman. Chaos erupted in the bar, energy weapons discharged, patrons scattered, and the air filled with a cacophony of alien screams and curses. Alex felt utterly helpless, acutely aware of how unprepared he was for this new life he'd inherited. But as a cyborg mercenary bore down on their position, Alex felt something stir deep within him. A mix of terror, desperation, and an almost forgotten sense of scientific curiosity. Time seemed to slow as his mind raced, analyzing the cyborg's movements, the composition of its armor, the energy output of its weapons. Without fully understanding how, Alex found himself grabbing a shattered bottle of alien liquor and a sparking piece of electronics from the floor. In seconds, he'd fashioned a crude but effective electromagnetic pulse device. "Lyra, cover me," he shouted, and before he could second-guess himself, he rolled out from behind cover and hurled his makeshift weapon at the advancing cyborgs. The resulting explosion of electrical energy sent the mercenaries into spasms, their cybernetic components shorting out in spectacular fashion. In the moment of confusion that followed, Lyra sprang into action. Her forearms became a blur of motion, wielding energy pistols with deadly precision. "The service exit," she called to Alex. "Go." They fought their way through the chaos, Alex surprising himself with moments of ingenious improvisation, while Lyra's combat skills bordered on the superhuman. They burst out of the bar and into the winding corridors of the Nexus, alarms blaring all around them. "We need to get back to the cosmic lotus," Lyra panted as they ran, "but they'll be expecting that. We need a distraction." Alex's mind raced, taking in their surroundings. They passed a junction box for the station's power distribution, and suddenly, an idea clicked into place. "I think I can rig a cascade failure in the Nexus's power grid," he said. "It won't last long, but it should buy us enough time to get to the ship. Lyra's silver eyes widened in surprise and what might have been admiration. Do it. As the sounds of pursuit grew closer, Alex's fingers flew over the junction box controls. He might be out of his depth in this new life of galactic intrigue, but this, the rapid analysis of complex systems, the thrill of solving impossible problems, this is what he was born for. Got it, he exclaimed as the lights throughout the station flickered and died. Emergency sirens wailed as they raced through now darkened corridors, guided by Lyra's natural bioluminescence. They reached the cosmic lotus just as power began to return to the station. As they lifted off, explosions blossomed behind them. It seemed their pursuers were willing to risk destroying part of the Nexus to prevent their escape. But once again, the quantum phone drive engaged, and reality twisted around them. When it settled, they were deep in uncharted space, the mysterious brown dwarf that hid Zaxxilion's secret facility looming before them. I have to say, Alexander, Lyra said, a note of genuine warmth in her voice, you're adapting to this life more quickly than I expected. Zax chose well. Alex let out a shaky laugh, adrenaline still coursing through his veins. I'm not sure I go that far. I'm pretty much terrified and making things up as I go. Lyra's hand found his, her touch sending an electric tingle through his body. That, my dear, is the most human thing about you, and it may just be what saves us all. As they began their approach to the hidden facility, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Whatever secrets awaited them in Zaxxilion's lab, whatever galaxy-shaking revelations lay in store, he was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, he was the right person to inherit this insane legacy after all. The true test, he knew, still lay ahead, and the fate of the galaxy might just hang in the balance. Quantum entanglement of souls. The brown dwarf's gravitational eddies buffeted the cosmic lotus as they approached Zaxxilion's hidden facility. Alex's eyes widened as the station came into view, a breathtaking fusion of organic architecture and cutting-edge technology camouflaged against the swirling storms of the failed star. Neutrino cloaking, Lyra explained, her lower arms dancing across the ship's controls. It's why this place has remained hidden for so long. As they docked, Alex felt a strange tingling sensation wash over him. What was that? Lyra's feathered crest rippled with concern. Quantum authentication. The station recognized your DNA. It knows you're Zaxxilion's heir. They disembarked into a corridor that seemed to breathe, its walls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Alex marveled at the seamless blend of alien biotechnology and advanced physics. This way, Lyra urged, leading him deeper into the facility. Zaxxilion's primary lab should be. Her words were cut short by a bone-chilling scream that echoed through the station. Alex's blood ran cold. What was that? Impossible, Lyra whispered, her opalescent skin paling. No one else should be here. They crept forward, rounding a corner to find a sight that defied explanation. A shimmering, humanoid figure stood in the center of a vast chamber, its form flickering between states of solidity and ethereal mist. But it was the face that made Alex's heart skip a beat. Zax, he gasped. The figure turned, its eyes locking onto Alex with an intensity that felt like a physical force. Alex, my old friend, you came. Lyra's hand found Alex's arm, her grip painfully tight. That's not Zax, not entirely. What do you mean? Alex asked, unable to tear his gaze from the impossible apparition. I am, between, the Zax thing said, its voice echoing strangely. Caught in the quantum foam between realities. My experiment, it worked too well. Alex's scientific mind raced to process what he was seeing. You achieved macro-scale quantum entanglement, but something went wrong. The ghostly Zax nodded, pride and anguish warring on its flickering features. I underestimated the power of consciousness itself. When I entangled my own neurons, I became unmoored from a single reality. That's why you left everything to Alex, Laurison breathed. You needed someone who could understand your work, someone who could bring you back. Yes, Zax's apparition confirmed, but we don't have much time. Others are coming. They can't be allowed to. A violent tremor shook the station, cutting off Zax's words. Alarms blared as Lyra rushed to a nearby console. Multiple ships decloaking, she reported, her voice tight with tension. The Synthetic Cognition Consortium, Void Monks, and Sephon military vessels, they're all here. Alex's mind reeled. The most powerful factions in the galaxy, all converging on this hidden outpost. What do we do? Zax's form flickered more intensely. The entanglement device. You must complete the experiment. It's the only way to keep this power out of their hands. But we don't fully understand it, Alex protested. The risks are less than the alternative, Larison cut in. If any of those factions gain control of this technology, it means the end of free will across the galaxy. Another tremor rocked the station. The distant sound of weapon fire echoed through the corridors. They've breached the outer defenses, Lyrison announced grimly. We're out of time. Alex looked between Lyrison and the ghostly form of his old friend. In that moment, he felt the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. This is why Zax had chosen him. Not just for his scientific acumen, but for this moment of decision. All right, he said, squaring his shoulders. Tell me what to do. What followed was a frantic race against time. As the sounds of battle drew ever closer, Alex and Lyrasin worked in perfect synchronization, guided by Zax's ethereal form. They calibrated impossibly complex equipment, channeling energies that defied the known laws of physics. It's ready, Alex announced, his hand hovering over the activation switch. But I still don't understand. What exactly will this do? Zax's form seemed to stabilize slightly, his eyes boring into Alex's. It will entangle your consciousness with the quantum fabric of reality itself. You'll become like me, but more. A bridge between worlds. Alex, wait, Lyrison interjected, her silver eyes shimmering with emotion. There's something you need to know. In Cephalon culture, when we marry, we form a telepathic bond. Zax and I, our minds were linked. And now you and I. Understanding dawned on Alex. That's why you've been able to guide me so effectively. We're already partially entangled. Lyrison nodded. If you do this, that connection will intensify beyond anything our species has ever experienced. Our minds, our very souls, will be quantum entangled across realities. The door to the lab burst open. Cyborg mercenaries poured in, followed by robed figures that could only be void monks. Behind them all, a towering Cephalon in military regalia surveyed the scene with cold calculation. Step away from the device, the Cephalon commander ordered. This technology is now under government control. Alex met Lyrasin's gaze, seeing in her silver eyes a reflection of his own determination. Without a word, they both reached for the activation switch. The universe exploded. Alex felt his consciousness expand, merging with Lyrasin's, with Zax's, with the very fabric of reality itself. He saw infinite possibilities stretching out before him, countless versions of himself and those he loved across a multiverse of potential. When his awareness snapped back to a single point, he found himself standing in the lab, but changed. His body shimmered with the same ethereal energy that had encompassed Zax. Beside him, Lyrasin glowed like a living star, her 4 arms trailing wisps of quantum possibility. The invaders stood frozen, awe and terror warring on their faces. I understand now, Alex said, his voice resonating with newfound power. This isn't just about communication or control. It's about the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. Lyrasin's mind brushed against his, their thoughts intertwining. We are the bridge, she said, between realities, between species, between all conscious beings. The power you sought, Alex addressed the stunned onlookers. It can't be controlled or weaponized. It can only be shared. With a thought, Alex extended tendrils of quantum energy, touching the minds of everyone in the room. For a brief, transcendent moment, they all experienced the interconnectedness of all things, the vast web of consciousness that underpinned reality itself. When it was over, weapons clattered to the floor. The Sephon commander fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the experience. What do we do now? One of the void monks asked, voice trembling. Alex smiled, feeling the infinite potential of the multiverse thrumming through him. Now we change everything. As the cosmic lotus detached from the station, carrying its transformed passengers towards an uncertain future, Alex knew that the real adventure was just beginning. With Lyra at his side, their minds and souls entangled across realities, they would reshape the very nature of galactic society. The human who had inherited an alien legacy had become something more, a bridge between worlds, a harbinger of a new era of cosmic understanding. And somewhere, in the quantum foam between realities, he could feel Zaxxalian smiling. The multiversal Nexus. The cosmic lotus surged through the quantum foam, its hull shimmering with otherworldly energies. Inside, Alex and Lyra stood bathed in the swirling lights of the ship's holographic display, their forms flickering between corporeal and ethereal states. The galactic core, Alex mused, his voice resonating with newfound power. That's where we need to go. Lyra's forearms danced through the air, manipulating streams of quantum data. Yes, I see it too. The convergence point of all realities. Their journey had taken them across vast stretches of both space and possibility. In the weeks since their transformation, they had touched the minds of countless beings, sharing the profound interconnectedness of all conscious life. But opposition remained. Incoming transmission, the ship's AI announced. Origin, Synthetic Cognition Consortium Headquarters. A holographic figure materialized before them, a being of pure energy contained within a humanoid shell of advanced technology. This is Administrator Zix of the SCC. We demand you cease your activities immediately. The power you wield threatens the very fabric of our society. Alex stepped forward, his form briefly solidifying. Administrator, we've tried to explain. This isn't about power or control. It's about unity, about breaking down the barriers between all sentient beings. Your unity is chaos, Zix countered. Already we see the effects. Governments destabilizing, economies in freefall. You're dismantling the very structures that hold our galactic civilization together. Sometimes, Lyra interjected, her voice a harmonious blend of tones. Old structures must fall for new ones to rise. The administrator's energy form pulsed with frustration. You leave us no choice. We've formed a coalition with the Void Monks and what remains of the Sephon military. We will stop you by any means necessary. As the transmission cut off, Alex and Lyra shared a look of concern. Their minds touched, exchanging volumes of information and emotion in an instant. They didn't understand, Alex sighed. They're so focused on maintaining the status quo that they can't see the potential for growth, for true harmony across the cosmos. Lyra's feathered crest rippled with determination. Then we must show them, at the galactic core. The cosmic lotus accelerated, pushing the boundaries of what was physically possible. As they traveled, Alex and Lyra reached out with their enhanced consciousness, touching the minds of trillions across the galaxy. They shared visions of a united cosmos, of barriers between species and cultures dissolving, of a new way of existence where every being could experience the profound interconnectedness of all things. But as they neared the galactic core, they encountered resistance. A blockade of ships from every major power in the galaxy hung in space before them, weapons primed. Last warning, Administrator Zix's voice boomed across all frequencies. Stand down or be destroyed. Alex felt a swell of sadness. Even after all they'd shared, fear still held such power over so many. We can't turn back, he said, both to Lyra and to the assembled fleet. What we've begun, it's bigger than any of us now. With a thought, Alex and Lyra merged their consciousness fully with the cosmic lotus. The ship transformed, becoming a being of pure quantum energy. They surged forward, passing through the blockade as if it weren't there, the weapon's fire harmlessly facing through their non-corporeal form. At the heart of the galaxy, they found it, the multiversal Nexus. A swirling maelstrom of cosmic energies, where the boundaries between realities wore thin. This was the source, they realized, of the quantum entanglement that had transformed them, the place where all possibilities converged. Now we understand. Alex and Lyra spoke as one, their voices echoing across dimensions. This is what Zax discovered, the gateway to infinite potential. But as they prepared to interface with the Nexus, to fully unlock its power and usher in a new age of cosmic enlightenment, a massive surge of energy struck them from behind. Administrator Zix's ship, now fused with technology from the Void Monks and Sephon military, had followed them through. "We won't allow you to unmake reality itself," Zix's voice boomed. The battle that ensued defied description in conventional terms. It was fought not just in physical space, but across probability waves and alternate timelines. Alex and Lyra, merged with the cosmic lotus, danced through realities, always just a step ahead of their pursuers. But Zix and his coalition were relentless. They couldn't match Alex and Lyra in cosmic awareness, but their combined technological might was formidable. Energy beams that could destabilize quantum fields lanced out, nearly severing the connection between Alex and Lyra's entangled consciousness. "We can't keep this up forever." Lyra's thoughts pulsed through their shared mind. "We don't have to," Alex realized. "We just need to show them the truth." In that moment of clarity, they ceased fleeing. Instead, they opened themselves fully, not just to Zix and his allies, but to every conscious being in range of the multiversal Nexus. It was a gamble of cosmic proportions, linking the minds of trillions across realities, if only for an instant. The universe held its breath. In that eternal moment, every being touched by the Nexus experienced the totality of existence. They felt the joy and pain of countless lives, the wonder of birth and the peace of death, the profound loneliness of separation and the overwhelming bliss of unity. They saw the cosmic tapestry of which they were all an integral part. When it ended, there was silence. Slowly, Alex and Lyra reformed into their semi-corporeal states. Before them, Zix's ship hung motionless. "Do you understand now?" Alex asked softly. The response, when it came, was thick with emotion. We had no idea. The scope of it all was so small and yet connected to everything. Lyra smiled, her form shimmering with compassion. That's the paradox of existence. We are insignificant motes in an infinite cosmos, and yet each of us contains that infinity within ourselves. In the days that followed, the galaxy changed. Not overnight. Change never comes that easily, but profoundly and irreversibly. The experience shared through the multiversal Nexus sparked a revolution in thought and society across countless worlds. Barriers between species began to crumble. Age-old conflicts lost their meaning in the face of cosmic unity. A new form of governance emerged, one based on empathic connection and shared consciousness rather than top-down control. And at the heart of it all stood Alex and Lyra, the human and the alien who had transcended their original forms to become something greater. They were teachers, guides, bridges between the physical and the quantum, helping a galaxy take its first steps into a new age of enlightenment. As they stood together, overlooking the shimmering energies of the multiversal Nexus, Alex felt a familiar presence brush against his mind. "You did it, old friend," Zaxilian's voice echoed from the quantum phone. "You've opened the door to humanity's true potential, to the true potential of all conscious life." Alex smiled, squeezing Lyra's hand as he felt the infinite possibilities of the future unfold before them. "No, Zax," he said, "we've only just begun." The cosmic lotus awaited, humming with quantum potential. The next phase of their journey, of the entire galaxy's journey, was about to begin, and somewhere in the vast cosmic tapestry of existence, the universe itself seemed to smile in anticipation. The quantum renaissance. The galactic core pulsed with newfound energy, a cosmic heartbeat resonating across the quantum fabric of reality. Alex and Lyra, their forms shimmering with iridescent possibility, stood at the helm of the cosmic lotus as it surfed the waves of space-time. "The harmonic convergence is approaching," Lyra announced, her four arms weaving intricate patterns in the air, manipulating holographic displays of cosmic data. Alex nodded, his consciousness expanded to encompass multiple realities simultaneously. "I can feel it. Every 10,000 years, when all planets in the galaxy align. The moment when the barriers between dimensions are at their weakest." Their mission had evolved beyond anything they could have imagined when this journey began. What started as a quest to protect Zaxlian's legacy had become a galaxy-wide movement towards a new form of existence, the quantum renaissance. But not everyone embraced this radical shift. "Incoming transmission," the ship's AI announced. "Origin unknown." A figure materialized before them, cloaked in shadows that seemed to bend light itself. When it spoke, its voice was a discordant whisper that sent shivers through multiple realities. "Greetings, quantum harbingers. I am the nullifier, last guardian of cosmic constants. Your actions threaten the very stability of existence. The old order must be preserved." Alex stepped forward, his form briefly solidifying. "The universe is change, nullifier. Evolution is its nature. We're not destroying the old order. We're helping it grow into something new, something beautiful." The nullifier's shadows writhed. "Beauty is subjective. Chaos is eternal. We will stop you." As the transmission cut off, alarms blared throughout the cosmic lotus. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. "Quantum singularities are forming throughout the galaxy. They're trying to sever the new connections we fostered." Alex's mind raced, processing information from countless realities. "They're using the old power structures, governments, corporations, religious orders, as anchor points, trying to reassert the boundaries between beings. If they succeed," Lyra said, her voice tight with concern, "billions will have their newfound awareness ripped away. The psychic backlash could drive entire species mad." Alex set his jaw, determination flooding through him. "Then we don't let them succeed. It's time to call in everyone." What followed was a mobilization unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Through their quantum-entangled consciousness, Alex and Lyra reached out to every being they had touched on their journey. From the highest echelons of galactic society to the humblest organisms on backwater worlds, all were called to action. The cosmic lotus soared through space, reality bending around it as Alex and Lyra coordinated a defense of cosmic proportions. Former enemies fought side by side, void monks using their probability-altering powers to stabilize quantum fluctuations, while synthetic cognition consortium AAs calculated optimal energy distributions across dimensions. At key points throughout the galaxy, epic battles raged. The nullifier's forces, beings of pure entropy wrapped in shadows that devoured light, clashed with the champions of the quantum renaissance. Planets shook, stars flickered, and the very fabric of space-time groaned under the strain. Through it all, Alex and Lyra pushed themselves to the limit, their entangled consciousness stretched across the cosmos. They were everywhere and nowhere, guiding, supporting, and inspiring those fighting for the new age of understanding. As the harmonic convergence approached its peak, Alex felt a familiar presence brush against his mind. "Zax," he called out into the quantum foam. The ghostly form of his old friend materialized, more stable than ever before. "The convergence, Alex, it's the key. You need to use the multiversal Nexus to amplify its effects." Understanding bloomed in Alex's mind, echoed by Lyra's sudden intake of breath. "Of course," she breathed. "The Nexus can serve as a quantum amplifier, spreading the harmonic energies across all realities." But the power required, Alex hesitated. "It could burn us out completely, scatter our consciousness across the multiverse." Lyra's hand found his, their fingers intertwining as energy crackled between them. Together, she said simply. They shared a look of profound understanding. In that moment, they were no longer just two beings, but a bridge between all conscious life in the cosmos. As the planets aligned and the harmonic convergence reached its zenith, Alex and Lyra poured every ounce of their being into the multiversal Nexus. The cosmic lotus itself seemed to dissolve, becoming a conduit for energies beyond mortal comprehension. A wave of pure harmonic potential swept across the galaxy, washing away the nullifier's shadows and healing the quantum rifts. Every conscious being, from the smallest microorganism to the most advanced AI, felt the surge of connection, of unity, of infinite possibility. In that eternal moment, the rigid boundaries of existence softened. Species that had warred for millennia found common ground in shared consciousness. Beings of pure energy danced with creatures of flesh and blood. The entire galaxy sang with one voice, infinite in its harmonies. When the cosmic storm subsided, Alex and Lyra found themselves drifting in the void, their forms barely holding together. But they were not alone. All around them, points of light twinkled into existence, the conscious sparks of countless beings touched by the quantum renaissance. Did we succeed? Alex's thoughts were faint, diffused across multiple realities. Lyra's answering pulse was warm with affection and triumph. Look. Before them, the galaxy had transformed. Worlds that were once separated by vast gulfs of space were now connected by shimmering quantum bridges. Beings of all shapes and sizes traversed these cosmic pathways, sharing knowledge, experiences, and consciousness itself. The old power structures were gone, replaced by a harmonious network of interconnected minds. It wasn't perfect. Conflict and misunderstanding still existed, but it was a new beginning, full of potential and wonder. As Alex and Lyra's consciousness began to fade, spent from their monumental effort, they felt the gratitude and love of trillions washing over them. They had given everything to usher in this new age, and now it was time to rest. But just as they prepared to dissipate into the quantum foam, to become one with the cosmic consciousness they had helped birth, they felt a tug. Countless minds reached out, lending their strength, refusing to let the quantum harbingers fade away. Slowly, painstakingly, Alex and Lyra were reformed. Not as they were before, but as something new, beings of pure quantum energy, unbound by physical form, free to roam the cosmos and nurture the growth of this new galactic society. As awareness returned, they found themselves back where it all began, in the hidden laboratory where Zaxxillian had made his fateful discovery. But now, it was transformed into a nexus of quantum learning, a place where beings from across the galaxy came to explore the new frontiers of existence. Zaxxillian's ghostly form awaited them, beaming with pride. "You've done it, my friends. You've opened the door to a new era of cosmic evolution." Alex and Lyra, their forms shimmering with infinite potential, shared a look of deep understanding and love. They had started this journey as individuals, a washed-up human scientist and an alien widow. Now, they were so much more. "No, Zax," Alex said, his voice resonating across dimensions. "We've all done it. Every being in the galaxy played a part in this transformation." Lyra's thoughts merged with his, her essence a harmony to his melody. And this is just the beginning. The real adventure starts now. As they turned their gaze to the shimmering quantum bridges stretching across the cosmos, Alex and Lyra felt the weight of infinite possibility before them. They had inherited an alien legacy and transformed it into a gift for all conscious life. The quantum renaissance had begun, and somewhere in the vast, interconnected tapestry of the multiverse, the future smiled with limitless potential.